Next episode of Tour Player Analysis belongs to Mr. Brian Campbell, who won twice in 2025 on the PGA Tour. The reason why I chose him is because he is somebody who shallows the club really well through his arm structure as opposed to through his body mechanics, which is something that I believe a lot of players can benefit from, especially those who do not have a lot of mobility in order to rotate on both sides of the golf ball. So Brian is a little bit more unique because he sets up very, very close to the golf ball. Right, his hands are really close to his thighs. His arms are really close to his chest. He has a very narrow stance, so he's not somebody who's going to make an aggressive motion with their pivot. Now, what you'll see with Brian is as he takes this club back, he will pick the club really far to the outside, right? And the shaft goes up really vertical, very, very steep. Some of the steepest we'll see on the PGA Tour. The button of the club by position 3 here pointing directly at his toe line. Now, what you will see with Brian is, despite the fact that he pulls the club very outside, like I said, he doesn't have the biggest hip turn. He keeps his right hip quite internal in his backswing. And so his hands are going to stay in front of him for the majority of his backswing. So by the time he gets to the top, because he does not have the biggest hip turn, you certainly do not see a big gap between the knees. You don't see the right pocket getting too far back. He's not going to have a ton of depth to his hands at the top, right? Now, we can always pinpoint the fact that he doesn't have the strongest club face, which obviously plays into his grip and how his wrist angles are. But what you will see that stands out, that in my opinion, a lot of recreational golfers can benefit from, is how much his shaft actually shallows to start his downswing. So he is more of the stereotypical look of going very steep in the backswing and then rerouting the plane very shallow on the way down, but he does it through his arms. Typically, if you want golfers to shallow the club easier, you would suggest having a little bit more hip turn in the backswing and getting the hands a little bit deeper. So something that would be closer to being in line with the heels of your feet. That is not the case with Brian, but despite the fact that he pulls the club very outside, he reroutes his wrist angles and his forearms a lot. Lead wrist works into a very bowed position. The forearms are rotating towards his trail side, and that helps him to shallow the club quite aggressively. Now, he doesn't get stuck despite how shallow he gets the club because his hands stay in front of his body a decent amount. The shaft never lays down to an extreme amount. It just reroutes but still stays somewhat in line with that right forearm. And then obviously from here, he can just rotate his body to square everything up through the golf ball.